Welcome friends to another Dune video. Today we will look at the Sardaukar during a time of planetary occupation, the planet X, on behalf of their emperor. How do they keep the people of the planet in line, and what actions do they take when the people of the planet don't obey what they're told? Spoilers for the Dune prelude series throughout. Let's get into it. First we visit Sardaukar, an Ixian rebel fighting against the Tleilaxu, who occupy his planet on behalf of the Emperor to produce a synthetic version of the spice. He hears footsteps approaching, and moments after, the guards stationed as lookouts shout, and then one ducked inside to avoid whoever was starting to shoot at them. Some think they have been betrayed, and then Sardaukar arrive, supported by the Tleilaxu. They come into the tunnels through the 4 exits, blocking an immediate path of escape, showing their knowledge of the terrain and how in sync they are trained. They then fired at the Ixian rebels, acting like it was a shooting gallery, and the book records that screams, smoke and blood filled the air. The Sardaukar then closed on the rebels and draw hand weapons. Some, just as deadly, fought with fists and fingers. Sardaukar picked his moment, waiting for the rebels to fight back and defend themselves, and he and a companion used the one means of escape left to them, a holographic wall. This looked like a solid rock wall, though he didn't want to be the only one to use it. It would leave the Sardaukar too suspicious if all the rebels disappeared, and heighten the risk of one being seen entering the cover. Then he hears cries behind him, as the Sardaukar have quickly discovered the secret tunnel, the other rebels doing little to slow them down, and Sardaukar goes to an old bolt hole, thinking of how close he had come to discovery. Now listen to Prince Romborovics speaking to his people, asking for their help to throw out the occupiers. Perhaps fearing its effects, the Tleilaxu shut his speech down, but the prince still believes it will have the desired effect, and so the Sardaukar are sent out to quell the rebellious populace. They shout out orders that everyone must return to their homes. Speakers pump out their message to many that martial law has been declared, and there will be a crackdown on people straight away, driving it into the people to obey. They also state rations will be halved and shifts increased. These orders have been issued by the Tleilaxu many times before, perhaps showing that they are not being effective, that they are not being listened to by the people. Sardaukar believes as the workers are squeezed, they will explode into rebellion. Next we travel with Kando Garon, who leads the Sardaukar troops stationed on Ix and guides them with a voice projector and speaks in the Sardaukar battle language, allowing no others to know his orders, but for them to clearly reach those they need to. Some, including Sardaukar, were guided into a holding area where they would be questioned, but amongst those being herded by the Sardaukar, Sardaukar hears people whispering about Romba's declaration and felt it had been worth it. The Bene Tleilax begin to find and remove conspirators, and the Sardaukar did the rounding up in full uniforms, no longer hiding their involvement. Prisoners terrified were flanked by them, whilst the Tleilaxu masters drove them forward. It's announced they were sentenced to death for acts of sabotage. They were driven to the edge, a balcony by the Emperor's blades, and then they were sent over the edge, and the crowd scattered as they fell and cried out in terror, but the ground answered their terror with silence. As their threats and beatings are not working here, they try to up the stakes in what the populace see they will do if they are not obeyed. Earl Dominus Vernius of Ix watched and thought how he had spoken to the people from such balconies, praising and thanking them. The balcony the people had been thrown from was that of the Grand Palace. Shots could have to be heard, and the sizzle of lasgun fire, the Sardaukar enforcing their order on the angry populace, and then after, further punishments are announced. Ration reduction by 20%, and productivity must not change, or further punishments will be given out, and the populace is told those who turn in rebels will be rewarded, driving a wedge into the people when the prince's speech had taken hold on them to unite them. And in the final section we're going to cover here, we hear Shaddam IV as he addresses the Landsraad, and a heckler during the speech is descended on by the Sardaukar. Their orders are not to draw blood during the Emperor's speech. After was a different matter. Almost like a twisted sign of respect to him, the Padisha Emperor is speaking about the actions he made against two houses, and that if the law is broken, action must be taken against those who break it. He gets a hologram brought up of the planet Bekel. The Sardaukar had dropped imager drones to show the scourge that was there. The Sardaukar have blockaded the planet to ensure it was not spread by people trying to leave, showing the Landsraad the power the Emperor can draw upon with the Sardaukar. The Sardaukar had been sent to investigate an illegal spice horde, and during the planet's panic, 2 ships carrying biological matter had been spilt by the people of the planet, hurting their own planet, unleashing the scourge. Now friends, I turn this over to you. What do you think to these Sardaukar's occupation of the Planet X? How they treated the people of the planet? Could the rebels have done more to stop what the Sardaukar were doing? Has your planet rebelled against the Sardaukar's occupation? Comment down below.